Can everybody see my screen now? Great, great. So I got involved with the project through the Trent Center for Aging and Society. And what was interesting was that my dad was also experiencing cognitive impairment, and my parents were transitioning from a rural town called Perth, Ontario, to Peterborough, partly because of their hospital experience and availability of home care were not so available in that little town, and they were needing a lot of support. So after my mom died, my dad was looking for a way to engage in meaningful activities. So thinking back to Mary Fox's discussion of our approach to developing the interventions, even developing the team, Mary and her team were very inclusive of not only myself, but my dad as well, being a retired scientist, was very curious about how does one do research with older adults. And so he previewed materials and the grant application that included things like, what does this all mean? And provided feedback on letters of information and recruitment, making a little bit more clear language. So that was in the developing the team phase. And in the intervention mapping, I was involved in the review of the literature through looking at the communication interventions, and particularly those interventions that were around people with a cognitive impairments, and as well transitioning from the hospital to the home. In my role with the School of Nursing, we have community placements where we have students placed with the Alzheimer's Society. And being new to Peterborough initially, and having a lot of contacts in Peterborough, I signed my dad up for various community supports. And one of the supports that we signed him up with was that of the Alzheimer's Society, their First Link program, as well as a support group. So that group of people with cognitive decline, as well as the staff, were approached to look at offering us feedback on the interventions, particularly the pictograms. And we had the entire slide deck, and participating in their support group were 8 people with cognitive impairments and 6 of their care partners. The staff helped me out in a role of recruiting their participants, as well as recording and wrapping up, as well as providing feedback themselves separately, just online. So this is literally kind of what it looked like on our flip chart. We asked the members to do a thumbs up or a thumbs down on whether it was acceptable or not, describing a little bit about each of the interventions. And there was a lot of dialogue, I can tell you that. Again, just to go through the example that Mary had given from the beginning, this literally is what the first slide used to say in the I'm going to call it our pilot pictograms. And particularly the older adults looked at this, and they thought, well, there's too many words on this, for one. And am I really going to do the math, subtracting 24 hours or subtracting 20.5 hours from 24? And so they decided their recommendation was to break it into actually 2 slides, and to do the actual positive statements, as opposed to them asking them to do the math. So this was the result, that too much rest can make you feel dizzy and weak. So to them, the fewer words and just a clearer message on that was what they were looking for. And then it was broken into, the other part, we did the math for them, and they showed somebody beside them to help them get up, but be up for at least 3.5 hours a day. And the talk around the room was that can be a little bit in the morning, and it can be a little bit in the afternoon, or for at least an hour around each meal. So that was kind of how they discussed it. So we took notes during the group, and this is what the notes looked like. And this was the piece that was critiquing, again, a few too many words, and that notion of a clock they wanted made a little bit simpler and reduce the words in general, were their comments. So this is what we ended up with just a simple directions with the 3 minutes and quite large writing, because some of the talk around the table was maybe I don't have my glasses on, or my wife's in the other room, and she doesn't know. So that kind of information was discussed and provided back to the team as well. And this literally is my dad's bedside table. And so I can attest that it works. And he does use the timer. If I'm, for example, paying bills or making some food in the other room, I will hear the timer go off. And then he will find his rubber-soled slippers, and I'll go in and help him up. So that kind of gives you a picture of what it looks like in real life.